Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, today we are going to present about the 8th chapter of the book Consumer Behavior, Buying, Having and Being by Michael Solomon. So, this chapter is about attitude and persuasive communication. In this presentation, we divide it in two parts. Me, Mohammed Elamir, I'm going to present the first part, and my brother and my friend Abdullah Faeq will continue and present the second part. Okay, as we mentioned before that this chapter is all about attitude. So before diving, we have to understand some points or some concepts that will help us to understand the whole old chapter. So, what's the definition of attitude? Basically, attitude is a lasting general evaluation of people, object, ad, or any issue. Human beings always love to evaluate anything surround them. So that's the attitude. The other point is attitude objective. It's anything toward which one has an attitude. It can be university, it can be company, it can be product. What the customer's perceptions towards this specific thing. So after understanding these concepts, we ask ourselves why we are going to study attitudes in consumer behavior subject or in marketing field precisely. In fact, there are many reasons that render attitude studying is very important. First one, from the definition, we recognize that companies always should study the trends of people's attitude toward anything, because as you know that attitudes and behaviors changing and develop changing every the attitude or the behavior of this generation is different from the previous one. So companies should study or make research on the changing of attitudes in order to find the customer solutions and produce their products or service and sell it, and before that market it wisely. And these steps cannot be done well without studying the attitudes. The attitude changes. The second reason is consumers have attitudes towards several attitude objectives, like consumption-related behavior. It means like how often do you eat chocolate or stuff like or anything. That's a consumption-related behavior. The second one is product specific behavior. Which kind of product do you prefer more? Do you like Snickers or do you have Mars, Kinder? Which kind of brands do you love more? That's the product specific behavior. So from that, this point led us to talk about the functions, the attitude functions, that will help us to explain how attitude facilitates social behavior. There are four functions as we see here. The first one is utilitarian function. In utilitarian function, this function when we develop an attitude toward a product, because this product helps us to eliminate a pain or to get a pleasure, to make us happier or to provide a pleasure, exactly. So because of that, many successful marketers say that people do not buy your product or do not buy a product, they buy a solution. That's the utilitarian function. The second one is value expressive function. Value expressive function is when a person performs an attitude on a product because this product says about himself. So this product help him to perform his social identity, like when someone buy a BMW or buy an Apple product, it will enhance his social identity, or he shows that he's he's better or he's something like when someone buys an Apple product, it will enhance his social identity or define his social identity by a specific product. Number 3 is ego defensive function. Actually, ego defensive function is when we perform an attitude to protect ourselves from an internal or external feelings. The fourth one is knowledge function. Is when a person is in an ambiguous situation towards something. So before he do an attitude, before he perform an attitude, he should know. He should research or learn before he do anything. Before he perform an attitude exactly. So from that, the psychologists made ABC model. This ABC model emphasizes the interrelationships between knowing, feeling, and doing. Knowing, feeling, and doing. ABC model stands for A. Affect, B. Behavior, C. Cognition. So what's the relationship between feeling, doing, and knowing, and affect, behavior, cognition? So affect means how customers feel about an attitude objective. So that's feeling. Behavior, the action he takes towards the objective. That's the doing. Cognition, what he believes to be true about the attitude objective. So that's knowing. So from that, there are hierarchies of effects, which starts with high involvement hierarchy. Cognition, affect, behavior. So the customer in high involvement, this kind of customer starts from cognition. He starts from thinking. Yes, from thinking by making a research about a product or service. This research help him to perform a belief about the product or service. That's the feeling about it. That's the affect. And this feeling lead him to do the action, to do the attitude, which is behavior. That's high involvement. Number 2 is low involvement. He starts also from cognition, but in this he starts by making a research, but this kind of research is very limited. This kind of customers make a limited research. This limited research help him to do the action. After doing the action, he starts to feel about the product or service. That's number 2, the low involvement. Number 3 is experimental. Is experimental, which starts from affect, behavior, and cognition. So this kind of customers, he starts to feel first about the product. So how can he feel about the product before doing anything? So this kind of customers is very emotional. The designs affect very much on his purchase intention, on his purchase decision. He starts after affecting, after feeling, he do the attitude, or he do the action. He does the action. From that, he perform a belief about it. So this kind of customers is very emotional, in a way that the treatment by customer service executive help defines his purchase decision, or help him to I mean that, like when the customer service executive or representative treat him well, this kind of customers will love the brand because it's very emotional. And also there's the last point that I want to mention in this part of chapter is multi-attribute attitude model. Multi-attribute attitude model means like assuming that the consumer's attitude toward objects depends on their belief in several of its attributes. Yes, it depends on that. So their beliefs, they have actually, customers have several beliefs about several attributes. So in this model, by using this model, we can identify these specific beliefs and combine them to measure what? To measure the consumer's overall attitude. So that's the end of my part. My friend and my brother Abdullah will continue presenting.
Assalamu alaikum. Abdullah is here. Inshallah, I'll present the remaining slides. And now I'll start with the communication model, the elements of the communication model. In the beginning, we should ask why the communication model is important. Actually, the communication model is important because we can change the attitude of the customer toward our product and our service through this communication model. And the communication model is made up of three elements, which are source, message, and medium. Let's start with the source. Source is the place where the communication originated. And we have two types of source credibility and source attractiveness. Here is a question: which one we have to focus on more in our source message, the credibility or the attractiveness? The answer is depend on the type of customer and the nature of the products. Let's start with the type of the customer. So if the customer is sensitive about social acceptance, if the customer care about the other's opinion, if the customer care about the people around him or her, so in that situation the marketer has to focus more on the attractiveness in the message source than the credibility. However, if the customer care more about the utilitarian of the product, attribute of the product, or the function of the product, so in that situation the marketer has to focus more on the credibility in their message source than the attractiveness. And the other point is the nature of the product. So if the product is complex, if the product is has a high performance risk, like vacuum cleaner or medicine and stuff like that, so the marketer has to focus more on the credibility. The marketer has to use expertise to explain the product for the customer. So, and however, on the other hand, if the product is all about the beauty, like furniture, jewelry, and stuff like that, so in that situation the marketer has to focus more on the attractiveness in their message source than the credibility. So that's all about the source. Let's move to the next step, which is message. Actually, the way we structure a message is really affect the customer's attitude toward our product and services. And actually there are many issues that is relevant with the message, but here I have come out with the 2 points. I'll talk about the 2 points in this presentation, which are we should use a picture or words in our ads. The other point is about the repetition, how much we have to repeat our ads. Let's start with the first one. The question here is we should focus more on the picture or on the words in our advertisement. So if, let's say, if the customer, if it's depend on the situation, like if the customer is in the high involvement situation where the customer need more information to make a purchase decision about the product and services, so in that situation the marketer has to focus more on the words. The marketer has to focus more on providing information than the pictures. Whereas if if the customer is in the low involvement situation where they don't need to seek for more information to make a purchase decision, so the marketer has to focus more on the picture than the words. You can bring an example about the book. If the marketer wants to sell books, so in that situation they have to focus more on the words than the picture in the advertisement. Of course, the picture or the cover of the book is also important for the customer, but is not as important as the information or the content inside the book. So in that situation, the marketer has to focus more on the words, on the content, on providing information about the book for the customer than the picture or than the cover of the book. This is about the picture words. And the other point is repetition. What we mean by repetition, we mean the repetition of the ads. Actually, repetition of the ad has positive and negative side. The positive side of the repetition of the ads is it increases this familiarity and it reduces the uncertainty of the product to the customer. But at the same time, the repetition has a negative side, which is the customer feel boring when they see the same message in the ads over and over again. They may just skip the ads. So in that situation, or to overcome this situation, the marketer has two options: either reduce the time of the ads, reduce the content, or shorten the content, shorten the time or the seconds of the ads, or changing the content or the message of the ads over time slightly. So by these two options, the marketer may able to overcome this issue. So now we are moving to the next step, which is medium. Medium is the platform that the marketer can deliver their message to the customer. It's the platform that marketer can communicate with their customers. Actually, there are many ways that is written in the book about communicating with the customer, like magazine, social media, TV, radio, and stuff like that. But the most important, or the very interesting tool to communicate with the customer that I have prepared for you in this presentation is adverb gaming. So let me give you a definition of adverb gaming. So the company promote their product, brands, and their marketing message with the customer through the video game. I think it's really interesting, and now I'm gonna give you an example about the adverb gaming so that you will understand better. Okay. Here is an example about the adverb gaming, which is Pepsi Man. Maybe most of you are familiar with the Pepsi Man, or maybe some of you have played Pepsi Man one day. So, which is absolutely clear that this ad is promoting the brand of Pepsi. And the second interesting example is American's Army, which is it's a video game which is produced by the American government to attract people to join the American Army and become a soldier. So that's it, and now I will move to the for answer and question section. Here Sister Sumaya asked the question, Sumaya Shahristani asked the question: do you think using celebrity is effective to promote the product? My answer is yes, absolutely, because our brain pay more attention to the famous faces, pay more attention to the celebrities, pay more attention to the people that's well known in the society. And maybe sometimes you can see that there are some ads like it's really perfect, but because there is no celebrity, there is no famous faces in the ads, so we are not interested to watch or to read the rest of the ads. And that's why one study found that the reading of the ads with the celebrity is almost 10% more than the ads without celebrities. And in the end, using celebrity is gonna enhance the image of the brand, is gonna enhance the brand's image. And the best example here is Shopee in Malaysia, where they use Cristiano Ronaldo, and in some ads even they make Cristiano Ronaldo to dance for the brand, you know, so which is gonna increase the image of the brand. So this is the answer for the question. Hope you have found it clear and understandable. And now I will leave you with my brother Amir to answer the second question. Thanks a lot for your listening and for your paying attention. Goodbye.
So, welcome again. This is me, Mohammed and Elamir. I will be answering the question that has been asked by Saeed. Saeed asked, what are the marketing applications of the multi-attribute model? In fact, there are 4 applications. The first one is capitalize on relative advantage. It can be applied by emphasizing the importance of what customers rated high on a product or service. For example, when a customer of IIUM rates that the academic performance of the university is very high. So what should marketers in UIA do? They should focus on making ads expressing the importance of the academic performance on the students after graduating, either on their academic journey if they want to further their studies, or in their performance in the job market. Number 2, strengthening perceived products. It can be applied by expressing the specific attributes and qualities to the customers if they don't know it. So when, like for example, the debating team of IIUM are doing well and they have accomplished many awards. So what should marketers do here? They should or they should make ads showing that the debating team of this university is great to the customers if they don't know it. Number 3, add a new attributes. This point, it can be applied more by product marketers when they try to differentiate themselves from the competitors by adding a unique attributes or functions to their products. And number 4, influence competitors' rating. In this point, marketers focus on their competitive advantage. Focus on their strengths of the product, and at the same time, their competitors lack on this feature, lack on this specific function. So these are the 4 points that can be applied. So that's it for the chapter. We hope that you understand it well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.